Hello and welcome back. The Roottrees are dead. They're still dead. However, we are finding about some of them who are even more dead than others. Can you be more dead? No, you're either dead or you're not dead. Have some of them who have been dead for longer. Such as Clancy Edward Roottree, the lawyer up here. He was the father of Lauren, who was an author who has written a rather interesting diary that's got us a lot of information. We are now going to focus on Clancy and Sarah, because we want to know who these children are. This is our big thing that we want to know, because if we can work out who the children are, it gives us a lot to go on, because we've got pictures, and that's going to give us a lot of free spaces. So, let's go over here, spider search. We are now going to look for Sarah Tossel. Nothing. Alright. Clancy, Roottree? Clancy? Oh. No, nothing, huh? Nothing to do with Clancy Roottree. Interesting. Oh, back to this. Clancy Edward? Clancy Edward? There we go. Okay, we've already been on this page before. But this is more, maybe it's more interesting now we're on it for the second time. Maybe there's more we can get. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So nothing new in here. Clancy Edward Roottree. Nothing in particular. How about something in here? Nothing relevant to my search, huh? Okay. Well, that's fine then. So we're getting nothing out of that. I was kind of hoping that children we might get out of that. We also don't know who the fourth child is in here. There's something we can work out with that. So let's have a look at this picture again. Maybe there's more we can glean from this one. So that's Carl. Who else have we got here? See, I was trying to figure out whether there was like a group like there was in the other photo, but I don't think there is. Okay. Well, I think we're going to have to give up on that line. We have some more documents we haven't looked at yet. So, let's go back to the diary. In fact, we only have one document. We just have more of it. So, A Life Between Wars. Next page. Complaints from Lauren Roottree's diary written in 1953. This seems to focus specifically on one of Lauren's family members, Gwyn, who is on a notable Roottrees list. It seems everyone has something to complain about. Gwyn, as an only child, complained of loneliness. I told her that being expected to watch after 3 younger brothers didn't feel like a blessing, but it fell on deaf ears. Alright, so first of all, that, and then this. Okay. So, Gwyn was an only child. That's huge news. So, Gwyn is same generation, only child, and is starred. So this is Gwyn. Gwyn Roottree, who was an actor. Fantastic. We even had a picture of her somewhere. This was Gwyn, right? Yeah, this is Gwyn. So I just need to find her. There we go. That's Gwyn Roottree. Do we know who... And she had 2 children, right? Yes, she did. Okay. They split up. So these are... If it's you... And you kind of chosen at random. And you're going to be unknown male, unknown male. Okay. We know that's the case. So, what do we know about Gwyn Roottree? This was a while ago. Okay, Gwyn. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's fine. Gwyn Roottree. Yeah. Don't think there's anything in here that's going to be that useful for us. No, there wasn't that much in there. Okay. But we now know that this is where Gwyn goes, which is useful info. There's one other starred name on our list. Is this the final star? I go back to our starred name list. That must be Miracle Jr. It can only be Miracle Jr. Literally, this can only be Miracle Jr. It just makes sense, because he's also the child of Miracle. So you must be Miracle Jr. And I'm just going to use some fantastic deduction. You must be Miracle the Third. Right? You must be. It's the only way that makes any sense. So, okay. We're getting some names eliminated. We don't know who she was married to, but that's okay. Right, back to here. She had 3 younger brothers. We already knew that, but I put it in there anyway. During the summer, I went to stay with her and Aunt Margot, hoping she'd be the sister I never had and that I'd do the same for her. Aha. I even had tried to dye my hair blonde to fit in with the 2 of them. Just saying she had blonde hair. Okay. To her, I was a lucky cousin. Alright, well that's great. So you are you're Margolite. Okay. That's fine. Which actually means that we know who the eldest child is here. Yes, we do. Okay, leave this. So, you must be Aunt Gwendolyn. Because where is it? It doesn't say it doesn't say Margaret there, but you must be Aunt Gwendolyn. Because the oldest one was an unknown female, so you must be Gwendolyn. Yes, so you're going to be Gwendolyn Roottree. Okay. We don't know anything about Gwendolyn Roottree, but that must be who you are. And then one of these 2 is something else. But oh, wait a second. This is Gwendolyn. Blonde hair. So you must be... So you're Gwendolyn. And then you must be Margolite. Blonde hair. Okay, we don't know what your occupation is, but that's okay. Right. That gives us a lot of new info. Okay. Very cool. Mr. Morden, who was there with Aunt Gwendolyn. It's not called Uncle Morden, but he is called Mr. Morden. Did Mr. Morden have a child with Aunt Gwendolyn? Who knows? Now she's off living the glamorous life while I'm stuck here with Clark. I must admit, seeing her everywhere contributes to my unhappiness. Her visage stares at me even now from my coffee table. She gets to be in starlit and tell tales of how she gallivants around the world kissing the likes of Harrison Lane and Wild Bill Williams. Interesting. She's the first Roottree woman to be anything other than a housewife, and I am jealous. If I were not a single mother, could I make my way in this world? She's the first Roottree woman who is not a housewife. Well, seems like a pretty easy way to put in occupations for these ones. Aha! Well done! We did it! That was not too bad. So we have Gwyn, Margolite, and Gwendolyn. We also unlocked Cussle, Sarah. Oh yeah!
You're listening to WRT. It's time for your headlines. Once an hour, every hour, on the 45. It's a bizarre development to an already tragic tale. In the wake of the accident that took his life, some of Carl Roottree's belongings have apparently gone missing. Most notably, a framed photo of the Roottree family from the mid-1970s that Carl had on his office wall. We interviewed a local psychologist about who would do such a thing and why. For that article, search online for WRTT News. Again, that's WRTT.
WRTD is your local investigative jazz radio station. During the news segment, at 45 minutes on the hour, they've been talking about the plane crash. Most recent hour, they also talked about a picture taken from Carl's office after the plane crash, and that promised interview online with a psychologist. Okay. During the interview, they revealed there wasn't a break-in. It said someone with a key to the office took a picture after discovering the pipes burst due to the recent storm. This means it was likely someone close to the family who was aware of the photo's history and wanted to save it. The psychologist, however, goes on to posit the culprit had an alternative agenda, specifically because nobody in the family has come forward to say they have it in their possession. A comment below the article says, "Don't believe their lies, this is just another instance of the Roottree curse being a real true thing. Bet you Carl was murdered and the picture had evidence on it." The Roottree curse? There's a long, rambly conspiracy website, a very small, very red text on a black background that says the Rootrees are cursed. It's been recently updated with the following. An important update with Carl and Brenda and their girls that makes 5 new deaths. Not only that, but 3 of the 5 presidents of the Roottree Company have died mysteriously. They say Guy's car was hit by a drunk driver in 1982, but nobody was arrested. Then Ernie Madsen Jr. stepped down. Full name? Okay. Now, just this week, Carl died in a plane crash. This cannot be a coincidence. There's another entry that claims if you connect the dots in the pattern of the 5-piece wrapper, it creates a Mayan ruby skull, a secret message meant to subliminally scare people away. The post before that has a link to a site that talks about how Earth has 4 corners simultaneous 4-day time cubes. The author of the site seems to agree. An entry from a few months ago claims that the owner of the site received an email from Chris Raff75 at prodigy.us asking him to take down the site with faked proof that Ernie Madsen Jr. actually had a heart attack and wasn't poisoned. The owner claims that although the proof looks quite credible, he knows the proof was fake because he's an expert at creating fake evidence. The entry is from 1996 and has a blurry picture of the Roottree Candy Company factory, similarly taken by the website's author from behind the fence through some trees. It seems that Operation RT29 is real. I witnessed a helicopter land on February 29, 1996. We'll get there eventually. That's interesting. The website footer says all images and ideas by Thomas Overwood. Well, let's start with Prodigy. Prodigy is an ISP that, in addition to allowing people to travel through information superhighway, offers email services and web hosting. Well, that's not that useful then. The reason why I looked it up is I was wondering maybe it was a company email address. No, it's not. How about Ernie Madsen Jr.? Nothing for that either. Okay, worth having a look. Operation R29? Oh, we're going deep. You find more conspiracy websites. Some people out there claim that the Rootrees are changing the candy recipe to include more and more chemicals, and that this was done in cooperation with bad actors from an unknown government. They claim that due to a loophole in the calendar, it's possible to get away with nearly any crime on a leap day so long as it isn't discovered until after the day is over, and that every 4 years on a leap year, the Roottree Company hosts a meeting with foreign agents to conspire to poison our children. The proof is that the Roottree candies contain polyglycerol polyricinolate, an ingredient of the candy that wasn't there when it first released. They claim it was added in an attempt to addict people and eventually induce mind control. The website claims to sell pills that counteract this effect for children that have already eaten Roottree candy in the past. You can do an additional search for polyglycerol polyricinolate, and it seems to be an emulsifier in chocolates approved by the FDA and widely used across many products. I don't know what to... I guess I'll mark this as a highlight, but there's really not a lot in there. Who is Thomas Overwood, and what's his beef with the Rootrees? The fact he's called... wait a second, his name is Overwood and it's the Roottree. Seems a little on the nose. Thomas Overwood seems to have a few different sites about mysterious deaths and curses. In addition to the Roottree Curse website, you find one about the truth behind Spirit Cola, which claims that Spirit really stands for Satan's plague is returning in 2000, and in the year 2000, anyone who's drunk Spirit Cola will die. Another website is Stock Markets and the Devil's Numbers, which claims if you multiply any stock market's price by 666, then multiply the current year by that same stock price, then add those two numbers together and divide the entire total by the stock price. Finally subtract the current year, you'll always end up with 666. Okay. I don't think that was useful information. I don't need to retain that. Okay. Interesting. Well, there's not a lot we can do with this so far. We go back to the news site for a second. Yeah, I think we're fine. I think we can move on. Back to the task at hand. Reading someone's diary. Yeah, what's Starlet? That's what I want to look up next. Starlet. Starlet was a magazine that started with colorization of film and went until around 1964. Generally, it was a tabloid of focus on famous actors and actresses. Didn't get much to go on. It didn't get much go into any other aspects of filmmaking or Hollywood news. Or it didn't much go into any other aspect. Right. Let's go back to this. I know what I want to look for. I want to look for Harrison Lane. Okay. You cited some information on a website about old films that are not yet available on VHS. Harrison Lane was a television actor with a major role in Guys Like Us and some other films. His largest role before Guys Like Us was the villain in the first season of Western Frontiers. Okay. Due to the popularity of Guys Like Us, the studio brought Lane back to play the villain's twin brother, this time as a hero joining the protagonist. Western Frontiers has no connection to the Rootrees. Harrison Lane appears to be a dead end. Harrison Lane married his high school sweetheart after they reunited at a movie premiere. Western Frontiers. It told me that it's not related, but I looked it up anyway, because I can. Alright, in which case, I want to look up Wild Bill Williams. Search internet. Wild Bill Williams was the leading man of some non-notable movies in the 1950s. He appeared in an adventure movie called Fortune Favors the Grave. Let me just do this. It is yet to be released for home audiences. He was known for his good looks and off-screen romances, specifically with blondes. He was married 4 different times to 4 different actresses. There's a famous Hollywood rumor that he even approached Marilyn Monroe at a party and she was already aware of his reputation. Wild Bill grew up in Paris, France. He often returned there. Okay. Wait, Paris, France? He often returned there? The music got all investigatory as I started going, wait a second. Where have I heard Paris before? Also, let me just clear that out. Just tell me this new story. Paris. Couldn't make the reunion. Wishing you well from Paris, Gwyn and the boys. Huh. Interesting. You need more info to confirm, but I'm fairly certain she married Wild Bill Williams. And then split up. Wild Bill Williams is mentioned many times through the magazine's lifespan with stories and gossip about who he'd been seen with in public, blondes mostly. 3 specific passages stand out. The first mentions that one of his first roles was under his real name, Walter Forsyth. The second is an interview. Although he doesn't mention her by name, you determine from context he's talking about Gwyn Roottree. An apology to all the ladies, I'm actually taken. Earlier this year I did a friend a favour. He was directing a war movie and asked me to play a small part. Wouldn't you know it, that son of a bitch cut me from the picture. I'm just ribbing, it wasn't his fault. Apparently the studio didn't want to pay for a star of my caliber. I got the last laugh though. I met someone. She spent most of the film crying. She was playing a soldier's wife. But even through the tears, she was incredible. I know I tend to have a reputation, but this one's true love. I only have eyes for her. Ironically, the third is a rumour that his divorce from Gwyn was due to multiple affairs, including one with another actress. An American reader on vacation in Paris claims to have overheard Wild Bill and Gwyn arguing in public, while she was holding a baby and visibly pregnant. Not long after, Gwyn announced she was divorcing Wild Bill and that she was pregnant again, giving this rumour more credibility. Okay. Well, obviously that. Yeah. Yeah. That seems right. And then I want to search for Gwyn Roottree in this thing. So it's copy, paste. Anything new? Gwyn Roottree was often in Starlit. Most mentions were around the time of her divorce in 1958 from Wild Bill Williams. Well, that's confirmed. The gossip was speculative and full of tabloid stereotypes. Some of it focused on the fact that when she announced her divorce, she also announced that she was pregnant again. Others mentioned that the rumour is that Wild Bill had multiple affairs, but was left her heartbroken. There's also an interview from earlier in mid-1957 when she was asked about her last name. She answered, "The power of a name is undeniable. My grandfather constantly preached the importance of family names and honouring them. My father decided to bless me with a famous name. There's nothing wrong with Cornwall, but Roottree has power. My husband similarly goes by Wild Bill." Okay, wait a second. There's nothing wrong with Cornwall, but Roottree has power. So that must be, yeah, that must be her, that must be someone's name. Anyway, my husband similarly goes by Wild Bill. It's an infamous name he repurposed for himself because he didn't have the benefit of being born with a famous one. But Wild combined with the alliteration Williams is incredibly memorable. Although we've relocated to Paris, I know your readers love to keep up with my husband, so consider this Starlight exclusive about both of us. Wild Bill and I have a child on the way and we're sticking with Roottree for the last name, not Williams. But we also plan to lean into alliteration. That's how we'll honour both our family names in the next generation. Ah. Wait a second, was it her? I'm back to this. Wait a second. Does that mean that it was her child that had an issue? Her child that someone tried to cut out? Oh. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. Now, before we go and enter this in, I want to just quickly go here, page 1. Then we're going to go up. You know what would have made sense? I could have made each page an episode. That would have made sense. Anyway. Walter Forsyth was listed in the cast of a movie called Gal in the Gang, which was directed by Bruce Throckmorton. It appears to be a low-budget comedy, but there's no other information about it anywhere else online. There we go. Right. That's fine. Bruce Throckmorton was a prolific movie director who released a movie every year in the mid-60s until his death on set in 1993. Most of his movies could be described as camp, especially those from the early 1970s, though you notice some critics seem to take offense with that characterization. One of his signature flourishes was to include a silly message a minute or two after a movie's credits ended. Most of these have been cut from the home video releases of his titles, so fans of his work have been trying to track down film prints to catalogue them all. As fascinating as this is, it doesn't seem related to the Roottrees. Okay. And then I'm going to look it up, even though I know it's going to take me back to the same page. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Let's go back over here. So this is, I've forgotten his name immediately. Walter Forsyth. Walter Forsyth. Cool. And then the other picture of Gwyn as well. Where is the other picture? Let me go back to this. There is another picture of Gwyn. There's that picture, and then there's this picture. Yeah. Back over here. There we go. That's the other picture of Gwyn. So, we're looking down here. That's the wrong one. Looking down here at the Rootrees. So we have Robert and Ronald. These must be the two. Yeah, so these are Robert and Ronald in whatever order. And one of them is the one that that someone tried to kick out. Interesting. Okay. And is this Cornwall? Yes. So that's her father's name. Linus Cornwall. Okay, just getting names out of our list is useful in of themselves. So now we know who these are. Let's see if there's any mention of a Robert Roottree anywhere. Robert Roottree. Ronald Roottree? No information. Anything in here? And then Robert? Nothing, huh? Interesting. Okay. Okay. We have no information. We know they're Ronald and Robert, but that's all we know. We don't know if these pictures are right, though. Yeah. Okay. So, with that in mind, I know who you are. Know who Miracle is. So this means that we now know who this picture is. Right? And we know that's Eli Jr. Yeah, we know that's Eli Jr. and he designed a warehouse. That should be enough, right? So Eli Jr. is an incredibly smug-looking person. That'll be him. Eli Jr., Elias Jr. And he was an architect? That seems correct to me. Okay. So he's an architect. That's fine. So we're just getting different bits of information and then piecing them together here. We don't know anything about if we could find anything more about Miracle, we could do something there. Yeah, okay. Although we haven't looked up anything really about Miracle yet. We've just been dealing with this one diary. Okay. She's the first Roottree woman to be anything other than a housewife. That's fine. But I'm off topic. A girl with all the luck in the world was jealous of me, and now, though I've been undoubtedly burdened by a terrible tragedy, I'm also lucky to be born into a family that can support me for eternity. I can raise a child without worry, unlike countless other widows. If any of them were to hear me complaining, they would rightfully scoff, just as I do at Gwyn. Actually, I just realized something else. This child has to be the one remaining Rafferty, right? So this has to be Chris Rafferty. We know nothing about Chris Rafferty, but that has to be his child. That just makes sense. Okay. Cool. 3. Dynasty. An entry entitled Dynasty from Lauren Roottree's diary, written 1958. It focuses on the day her grandfather Elias announced he would step down as president of Roottree Candy Company and the meeting to determine his successor. I wish I had been a fly on the wall today. Clancy told me that everyone got quite heated. Grandad was furious none of his sons would take over as president, but that's what he gets for holding on to it for so long. With architects, preachers, and lawyers. Miracle's a preacher. What a world. You are a preacher. Great. Okay. Where are we? Nobody's got time for candy, so with 5 pieces refusing to step up, it comes down to us next gens. Pop argued at length that the company should stay with our branch of the family since we still have the Roottree name. I'm not even sure Clancy would have wanted it, but he's the one who volunteered. Instead, it ended up going to Zach? Who is Zach? Even though his surname doesn't match the candy, he's the firstborn son of the firstborn 5-piece. Not sure how that's relevant to running a company, but that's how Grandad always had very particular views when it came to his bloodline. You are Zach. Morden? You have to be Zach Morden. Why do I say you have to be Zach Morden? The information came to me and I'm like, you have to be. Well, because this is Eli Morden. So that had to be Zach Morden, right? I mean, Zach Morden must be in this photo somewhere. Are you Zach Morden? Curly hair? Is that you? Do you look anything like Eli? Let me see. No. Well, You got kind of... I'm just trying to look at the features and see if there's any similarities. I don't know if that's you. I think it is, though. I think you have to be Zach. I think you have to... Yeah, I think you have to be Zach. Wait, does it say... Let me go back to this for a second. Does it say who's actually here? No, it doesn't. It doesn't say who's actually here. So that has to be Zach. I think. So... Where are we? We're even... Oh yeah, I think you're Zach, and I think you're the second president. Okay. I would then assume that your first son is Eli. Although I can't prove it. But let's go with that for now. And I think Eli married a mechanic. So, that's fine. Anyway, back to the story. Right. It ended up going to Zach. There we go. I asked Clancy if it ever came up that a woman could take over. After all, Angie's older than Zach. Firstborn son. Oh. And I'm next oldest of us all, but he just laughed. Okay. You're Zach. So everything I just did on the previous one, we now want to move over here. So you are Zach Morden. You're Zachary Morden, and you were the second president. Well done! Aha! Oh, these 3 entries are correct and have been locked. Miracle was a preacher. Elias Roottree, or Elias Jr. Roottree was there, and that's locked into 5 pieces, it said. For the achievement. Wonderful. Booyah.
So, you may have heard the news. Some of Carl's things have gone missing. That includes the pictures and mail I brought you earlier. I promise I didn't steal it, but I did borrow it. I'll return it once we're done. Let me deal with my family in the meantime. Oh, I guess that means I've officially confessed. I'm a Roottree. I assure you I have a reasonable explanation for the secrecy. I'm about to do something big the family doesn't approve of. If you could just wait a little bit longer, I'll tell you more, in person. I'll return after 15 more blood relatives.
Okay. That's perfectly alright. Take your time. So you're... wait a second. Yeah, so I can clear this, because we don't have 2 presidents. But you must be Angie Morden. Morden... You are... Angelica Morden. Okay. What is going on here? Something's going on there. Anyway. Unknown occupation. Wait. She's not a Roottree. I was going to say, wait, she must be a housewife because she's older than Gwyn. But she's not a Roottree, so that doesn't guarantee that she's a housewife. Okay. Back to the story. I'll never forget the cuss words Pop used when he told Ma it wouldn't go to us. Mother, ever the quick-witted, at least with catty remarks, countered back, maybe they wanted it to go to the only member of the family who looked like he samples the products. Oh. Uncalled for. Sam. An entry entitled Sam from Lauren Roottree's diary, written 1963. From a previous entry, you learn that Elias Roottree had given it in to his wife and announced that Sam, an obscure relative, was to be included in the family gatherings. Gwyneth had been pushing to include Sam for quite some time. Lauren writes, "Why Sam? I have many distant relatives I've never met. After all, Granny had sisters and Grandad had a brother or 2. And I was told, trim the branches from the family tree. So why is Sam special? Nothing adds up, and I'm not the only one to realize." Angie summoned all the next gens to a secret meeting in Zach's office. Gwyn's in Paris, but the rest of us, including Miracle's boys, spent ages trying to unravel the mystery. None of us had even met Sam until Uncle Junior's wedding to Patsy last year. Okay, at the reception, when I asked who Sam was, Pop shushed me and said it was complicated. So you were married to Patsy. I didn't narrow it down, huh? Alright. Let's just note that one down then. I should note them down anyway, but that's okay. Also, Miracle's boys. That means he had 2 boys. Might be useful. I think it means he has 2, because he had 2 children, right? Yeah, so these are both boys. Fair enough. Clancy swore he saw Sam working alongside the farmhands, EC and John, when he used to drive past the Anderson farm on his way back from work. Upon hearing that, Zach checked the records and managed to confirm all 3 are on the books. Eli, Miracle's youngest, not my brother, even chimed in. Alright, so you are Elias Roottree something. You must be Elias Roottree M, right? That would be my guess, but I don't know. Unless you're C. Yeah, okay, it's not easy to choose, so that's fine. Apparently... Oh, wait. Clancy swore he saw Sam working alongside the farmhands, EC and John, when he used to drive past the old Anderson farm on his way back from work. Could that be Elias C? Maybe. Apparently, when he was riding his mini bike alongside the farm a few weeks ago, Sam gave him some old tools and taught him how to make the bike's engine faster. None of us think that proper for a multitude of reasons, but Eli certainly seems thrilled. Okay, that's fine. At the end of the day, nothing explains why an outsider is cozied into family affairs, especially one who works on the farm of all places. Whatever happened to blood is thicker than syrup, and why is Grandad making an exception now? Obviously, because this is an illegitimate child. Clark. Clark is getting married, and, in my opinion, far too young. He's barely 18 for God's sake, and Danielle isn't much older. Okay. But openly confronting them would make me a hypocrite. After all, Jacob and I got married at 16. Okay, so we already have Jacob locked in, but you must have married Danielle Franks. Okay, so we have a new name. Clark, like the rest of his generation, is a free spirit. What else do you call a group of kids growing up with more money than any one person can spend? They all aspire to be musicians and artists and dancers and all sorts of nonsense. The only one who has any discipline is Carl. That's because Pop forced Clancy to send them to the academy. Okay. Maybe I'm just getting old, but our generation was never so bad. My brothers all seemed to pursue passive knowledge, and the most rebellious thing any of us did was bring home someone who would be illegal to marry if we lived anywhere south of Pennsylvania. Pop seems to have gotten over it because Edward is set to take over his department once he retires. Aha. Interesting. So Edward married somebody who would be illegal to marry if they lived anyone south of Pennsylvania. So I'm assuming that must mean that it's somebody of a different race. That I think is what's being implied. As for me, my first published book, Swashbuckling My Heart, I need to look that up, is based on the pirate stories I used to invent with Jacob when we were walking in the woods after school. I think he'd be proud that Clark and I are carrying on his name. Clark and I are carrying on his name. Clark and I are carrying on his name. I don't think that means anything. No, I don't think that... I think it just means that they've got the same last name. Okay. Even my cousins are doing well. Zach's not a bad president after all, and his sister seems to be doing a good job raising her twins. Twins? Okay. That's interesting. Actually, let's clear that one. Delete note. Ads, okay. Gwyn is Gwyn, but at least she came out of the divorce with her head held high. She even told us she might come home next year so we can meet her kids. But the free spirits in any other family, they'd all end up on the street, even Clark. Okay, that's a lot of info. Also, I can close this down for now. Wait, yeah, there we go. Have I read it enough? There we go. Right. That's a lot of info we got. Okay, back to the board. What have we learned? What names do we have that we know nothing about? That is probably the easier way of doing things. Also, let me go back to this for a second. This one. So this is all about Sam, right? Yeah, not Sam. Clark. Daniel isn't much older, so Clark's her daughter. So Clark is her son. That's fine. Danielle Franks. Let's see if we can find the last picture. Actually, before we do that, let's not leave her done yet. Let's swashbuckle my heart. Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can find that in the library. Lauren Roottree. There we go. Nothing in there, huh? Lauren Rafferty? That's not how you spell that. Yes, it is. Out of print. No copies available. Re-released as X marks the spot. Roottree? Aha! According to the back of the book, this is a buried treasure by Lauren Roottree from the author of the Court series. It also says keep an eye out for Lauren Roottree's next book, Revisiting the Diary 10 years later. Alright. Aha! This was a version of Lauren Roottree's diary released in 1975. Unlike the original diary, it contains no pictures, but has many new passages that reflect on her thoughts 10 years later. One major event happened between the releases that changed Lauren's outlook on certain subjects, the death of Elias. A summary of the fallout has been added to your notes as well as some other select pages. She was really just writing books that were there to cause drama. She is a drama fiend. Anyway, Danielle Franks. Let's see if we can find anything about her before I dive back into Lauren. Right. Do I have a note for Danielle Franks? I hope I do. My spelling is terrible. There we go. Franks. Anything in here? Well, it would be in that one, right? Nope. Alright. They didn't have a child together or anything, so that's fine. Yeah, we still don't know it. Do we know anything about Chris Rafferty as well, actually, before we get into anything else as well? Chris Rafferty. Nothing, huh? Music? Starlet? Nothing on Chris Rafferty at all, huh? Okay. Okay. Is there any other info I want to know about? I want to look at Zachary Morden. Zachary Morden. I know. Zachary. There we go. I'll learn to spell eventually. That's not right. No, I think I put in an extra H. Yes. Okay. Zachariah? Is Zachariah, isn't it? My mind is slowly melting due to the interconnectedness of the story. Zachariah, maybe I need to put Morden at the end. Okay. Business Watch. There we go. In 1959, there was a small blurb about Zach Morden, son of James and Gwendolyn Morden, and grandson of Elias Roottree inheriting the candy company. Do we have James in there, by the way? Nope. So this is James Morden. Wonderful. Back to this. He is quoted as saying, Elias entrusted me with carrying on his legacy, and that's what I plan to do. Along with the 5 pieces, our chocolate maple products are selling incredibly well and will not be making any changes. Okay, do we have anything for James Morden? Let's see. Maybe in the spider search? Nope. Okay. Well, we at least have a name for her husband. That's good. Right. Anything else on the main storyboard for us to get? We do have Miracle, but I feel like Miracle's line is something I don't want to explore yet. I don't think I need to. Yeah, I think we go back to Lauren. The new diary opens with an explosive incident that happened in the decade between the release and re-release of Lauren's diary. Elias Roottree had died, and during the reading of his will there was an audible gasp when a certain name was read aloud. Samantha Roottree. Although Sam and her children were not meant to receive monetary inheritance, he had a stipulation that she retained the rights to run the farm and all decisions related to it. Uh-huh. That's interesting. So Sam is Samantha as well, which is interesting. So Sam, Samantha. That's new info. So this means that in this one we've got some slightly different information. Grandma insisted we include Sam even if we don't want to. Well, that says he's technically a 5-piece. Okay, so they may be different people. That's fine. Okay. It was then that the scandalous secrets came out. None of the 5 pieces were a surprise, but it was quite a shock to everyone else, including Sam. She had been told her parents died. Apparently Sam was the illegitimate daughter of Elias Jr. and Patricia Christensen. Elias Jr. and Patricia Christensen. Okay. Is there an illegitimate one for Elias Jr. somewhere? He didn't marry her. Okay. Yeah. Patricia, the daughter of a local steel mogul, and Elias Jr. harbored a secret romance at age 16. She became pregnant. After birth, her father refused to let her see Elias Jr. ever again. Her baby Samantha was sent to the Roottrees. Elias hid her away with the local farmhand known as EC. Patricia was married off to a much older man and sent away. That was the end of that, almost. Ah. Okay. So they just pretended that it was a boy, I'm assuming is the story here. None of the next gens had ever met or heard of Patricia before she unexpectedly reappeared, now going by Patsy. After Patsy's husband died, she reunited with Elias Jr. and they married in their 50s. Yeah. Mentioned the wedding, a first diary found on Patsy's history. Elias Jr. never taken another lover. Lauren, ever the romantic, was quite appreciated this. Okay, so he did marry Patricia Christensen. Yes. That seems correct. So you married that person. This is Samantha Roottree. Okay. Who was a farmhand? I think? Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Let me go back to the picture. So, one of you is Sam / Samantha. That's gotta be you, right? Unless that's Miracle's child. No, that's gotta be Sam, I think. Unless this is no, because you're the brothers. It was called a he in this one, so it's not you. It's not you, and it's not you. I think. Maybe? Alright. Let's go back to this. We'll work it out. Where are we? When Patsy and Eli Jr. finally married, Elias decided Sam should have been a Roottree in the first place. Even though she was not part of the Tlanced trust, he wanted to include her in family affairs. That was what led to Lauren's initial entry entitled Sam. Okay. This is a page of additional notes and context from 1975, 10-year anniversary re-release of Lauren's Diaries. It's a companion piece to the entry about Sam. Clearly, I did not know our true family history when I wrote this. I didn't even know that Sam was a Roottree. All my doubts were ill-founded. She's a fine woman. Had she the chance to grow up with us, Sam might be the sister figure Gwen never was. Ernie and the kids are so lucky to have her, and her children seem eager to help the family in their own ways. Ernie Jr. has been learning the day-to-day from Zach. Interesting. Okay. It's been a long time since any real Roottree was excited and as interested in the actual candy as Ernie. As a bonus, Gwyneth has a green thumb of her mother and adopted grandfather. Okay. Gwyneth is adopted. Potentially? No. Well, one of you is Eli Jr. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so that's Sam. Ernie and the kids are lucky to have her. And the children seem eager to help the family in their own ways. So you must be Ernie. So you're Ernie Madsen. And one of you is Ernie Madsen Jr. and the other one is Gwyneth Madsen. Okay. What I'm most ashamed of is not figuring it all out myself. Sam's a spitting image of Patsy with her jet black hair and green eyes. She doesn't have thick glasses Patsy did, of course. I guess that skips a generation. Her children all have that covered. Black hair and green eyes. So you're Samantha. I misread this initially. Samantha was always Sam. I read this he to refer to someone and got confused. This has always been Samantha. In which case, you are Samantha. Wonderful. We have a face. So, you're Samantha. You're someone else. So you must be Angie. Yeah, you must be Angie. That makes sense. We've almost identified everyone. So you're Angie. Who are you then? You must be Miracle Jr.? You must be Miracle Jr. based upon the hand that you've got on there. Okay. So you're Miracle Jr. Other Miracle is not born yet. That's fine. And then you're that group. Okay. Right. Back to the diary. Where are we? Let me just do that. So I've got that written or there. She doesn't have thick glasses Patsy did, of course, but I guess that skips a generation. It's hard to explain the look on Pop's face when they read that the farm's operations would pass to Samantha Roottree for as long as she was willing. I got flashbacks to when Zach was made president. Mother reframed it a bit to calm him down. Sam wouldn't receive any candy money after all and was essentially inheriting the right to rule over the peasants for eternity. Pop warned us away from that farm for years. I never met EC in person, but Pop once referred to him as a confirmed bachelor. I suspect that's why he kept us from there. Sam had to grow up in a house with him and his roommate, Mr. Miller. Okay. I'm not sure Sam will ever forgive Uncle Junior or Patsy for abandoning her to that life. If I were her, I might never forgive them either. Even so, she seems to blame more than just the two of them. She has no problems with us next gens, but she has palpable hatred for the Five Pieces and Elias and Gwyneth. Fair enough. Clark is a companion piece to the entry about her son Clark. Reading this back, I get deja vu. As I write this addendum, Clark's gotten married again. No Roottree has ever remarried. Sure, I lost Jacob and Gwyn divorced Wild Bill just before she had her second. Not even I can blame her for that, but I've seen what he gets up to in Starlet. But neither of us ever took a second husband. The way the world is moving, I guess it was inevitable someone in the family would remarry. I just wish it wasn't my son. I can only wonder if Clark's apparent disrespect for marriage is due to the lack of a real father. I did what I could, and Lord knows Eli C. stepped up and helped. More than I can say for Clancy or Edward. Okay. Eli C. practically raised Clark and Jim as brothers whenever he could. Eli's marriage seemed fine, and Jim's marriage seemed solid as a rock, pun intended. So who knows what causes these things. So Eli C. raised Clark and Jim as brothers. Wait, am I reading this right? Yeah. So I would assume, based on that you must be Elias C. Okay. Which means that you are Elias M. We're getting there. We're getting name by name. And we just need pictures. I suspect that he's marrying Jane to keep her from running out of the band. Without her, he'd be the third wheel, and I imagine they wouldn't last long as a trio, but still, I don't think marriage on such a shaky foundation like that can last, and Lord knows I was right the last time. Names. It's not a companion piece to any specific entry, but addresses feedback. Biggest complaint I got after publishing my diary is how many similar names there are. I get it, there are 4 Elis for Pete's sake, but that's how it is. Someone would say, I saw Eli in town, and we wouldn't know which one they meant. My brother, my uncle, my cousin. That's why they became Uncle Junior, Miracles Eli, or Eli C. Our family's names were always unusual. Grandpa Elias was a believer in using names of each generation to honour those in the last. His father and Grandma Gwyneth's father were named Edward and Clancy, so now you see where my pop's name came from. One thing that's always been consistent in our family though is anytime someone's a junior, they're always the firstborn son. That goes from Miracle, Eli, or even Clancy. With the woman, however, it all goes out the window. I think Gwendolyn got her name from some combination of Gwyneth and Carolyn, who is Elias's mother. Okay. Women's names all tend to get mixed up as generations go on. I guess that's because there's no female equivalent of junior. So if you read my diary and confused, you're not alone. Even the government had problems. I remember once receiving a certified mail for an Edward Clancy Roottree. I had to break the news that they got my father's name backwards. Okay. There we go. Anytime someone's a junior, they're the firstborn son. And that goes for Clancy. So Clancy is the firstborn son. So you were Clancy Jr. You're Elias C. So who's our last brother? She told us her brother's names at one point. Let's go back to the original diary. Clancy. I think that's one too far. Complaints? No. Right. Let's see. Doesn't say in this one. Did it say in this one, maybe? No, it would be in this one. Okay. So that's Eli as well. Just realized. There we go. That's fine. Where are we? I was outvoted by my brothers. Doesn't say who our brothers were. Yeah, so I don't know which one of you is which. Interesting. I'm looking at the characters, see if there's any, like, commonality. You do look, the smaller one does look a little bit like you, I think. But that's not really, like, they all look alike, they're all related. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Back to this. That's fine. Gwendolyn got her name from a combination of Gwyneth and Carolyn, who was Elias's mother. Gwendolyn being you, so that's one generation further back. I don't need to care about that. Okay. Next. Anger. Not a companion piece to any specific entry, but rather a fun bonus. Apparently this is the first thing she could find that she ever wrote. She knows it was for a school assignment about anger, and she believes it based on the teacher's name. She must have been in 3rd grade. She doesn't exactly remember the event. She doesn't exactly remember the event spelled out here, but she does remember getting in trouble. I got angry when I met a new girl who I do not like. She was dirty and did not have a pretty dress. Me and Pop walked home in town, and she hugged him. When I told her he was my Pop, she pushed me. I got angry and yelled at her, and Pop said to treat her nice. Then she said, "Your Pop is my dad." She screamed it loud in my ear. She was lying to me, and lying is not a nice thing, so I pushed her too. Then I got in trouble. Pop took her away. He told me, "Don't worry. I'm glad she is gone." Ah. There is a Roottree not on the list. Pop had another child. Aha. Interesting. Well, that is interesting. I don't know what to do with that info, but it's interesting. Okay. Cool. I'm trying to think of what to do next. Now we've done that. Let's go back to the notable Roottrees for a second. We haven't looked at Miracle Jr. We should look at Miracle Jr. Actually, you know what we should do? We should end the episode here because we're deep in it. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Life is life, love shall be.